Hey y'all, this is Tony for their radio. We're here in the city checking out the different music that's happening in LA. Today we're interviewing Analog Dog. They have psych, they have disco, they have indie, they have pop. Let's go see what they're about.
I'm Celia. I play the bass and I sing a little.
I'm Rob. I play guitar and sing.
I'm Austin. I play guitar and keyboards and sing and dance too.
I'm Kale and I play drums.
I'm Jason. I play saxophone, keys, and synth.
Wow, dude. Psychedelic indie disco fusion and a big ball of love.
A spiritual journey.
A spiritual journey.
Unbridled joy.
Unbridled joy, except for also critical.
Sometimes when it's bridled.
Yeah.
True
so
love and friendship for all.
For sure. And revolution, maybe. 5 years.
About 5 years, yeah. We started
The
in
core.
2019. Was
Yeah.
our first show as a band.
Yeah.
What brought y'all together? What was it?
San Francisco, just like
Yeah.
I like a whirlpool. I met Rob and Rob knew Jason, and I was working at this place called Music City, which was a rehearsal space. And so I met Rob, and we kept running into each other like everywhere, and we were like, oh, we should probably.
Yeah.
We were listening. We were like,
it's,
okay.
it's the place and music, basically. We all come from all over the country. I think we represent Florida, Connecticut, Ohio, Illinois, and Texas originally. And then we found each other in the Bay Area. And through music, we basically just had this core that continued to grow over the years.
Do you know that I work there now? Yeah. So
Yeah.
throw it up.
Austin's like,
Yeah.
I got this one, guys. I got this one.
I got this one.
Yeah. I give it to Jason.
So yeah, well, you know,
It's electric.
it is electric. I mean, it's such an important moment right now in San Francisco, particularly about where the art scene goes in terms of having a healthy revitalization, obviously in the face of some pretty major gentrification. So it's one of those where it means so much symbolically, and we're having such an amazing time watching, like, I'm booking acts who've like never played on a stage ever, and we're also like having some big like touring acts working with some of the biggest agencies in the world. So it's like that kind of synergy, like being able to bring all those kinds of music together is like really a for the people, by the people venue, and I'm fucking stoked about being there. Hi Katie, hi everybody, I love you. They're wonderful people. It's just such a great environment.
Yeah, I mean, it's really it's a temple of music there, and you know, there's some of those venues that we've played in San Francisco, and there's actually quite a few that we've really just fallen in love with. But that's definitely one of them. We played there recently with a wonderful band called High Fade, and packed out the house, and you know, it's just a really like great community there, and the sound is good, and people love it.
Super special. Thanks for asking about Kilowatt. Fuck yeah. Well, I think what's cool about the way we do things is that we write songs and we try not to get stuck in being too boxed in.
I mean, it goes back to the first question. Like, yes, like in a few phrases, and I think people said like it was like a 6,000 word essay.
Yeah.
So it's being able to bounce between like psych and dance, and then bring the two together, and then like reach both ends of those spectrums, but trying to keep it cohesive at the same time.
And then there's like jazz and there's like indie rock, and that's we're not afraid to step out and, you know, maybe a little twang in the future. So we fluidity.
Future Trey.
I'm bringing
Yeah.
back the twang someday. But just the idea that we're not limited to like the broad spectrum of emotions, and we can tap into happiness and sadness and like a lot of pain and a lot of joy. I think that's the fluidity too, is that we're not like one dimensional. It's all about being real, like people are real.
Yeah, and I think musically as well, we're interested in basically both like composition and improvisation, and so we leave sections open during the show to interact with the audience, interact with each other, and like be in that moment and share that together. So that is also a practice that we work on as well.
Not only that, but we also come from such varied backgrounds and what have you, and coming from like all the different regions of the country or whatnot. We bring that special spice. Like each one of us individually, we're all our own artists. So.
Yeah, we all have like I'd say that there's like a 5-circle Venn diagram of our taste in music, where the center is like the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Absolutely.
And then
100%.
there's like 5 like
Shout out LA.
yeah, and then there's like 5 like often not even really that overlapping circles, and we
sure.
all have different like music backgrounds too. Like some of us are classically trained, some of us are self-taught, and I think that fusion ends up creating a pretty like genre fluid band.
Oh, of ours? Yeah. I think Product Pivot is
Pivot
probably
is-
the one. The
is-
first song we ever wrote.
Right.
I was in a band with Kale like 7 years ago, and him and I were like a guitar drum duo, and we spent a lot of time together. And then Kale started jamming with Rob, and so they started spending time together, and then we kind of just fused, and then we wrote this song together in an 8-hour session in a way that we'd never done since, where it's like Rob had a riff, we sat down, Kale had a drum beat, I wrote the melodies and lyrics, and we just like for like 8 hours we workshopped this song. And it's a song about San Francisco. It's about kind of like consciousness. It's about capitalism. It's about like art scenes. It's about being aware of like not falling into the same repetitive patterns as humans, and being like awake and being aware of the spiritual nature of reality, and just trying to stay on top of being cool. And it was such a cool song, you know?
Yeah, I think that was like basically the genesis of the band, was like that day where we realized that like we had a new sound to
A
pursue.
new thing, yeah. That wasn't mine or his, and it was just like us. And
And then I think the flip side to that question is actually our live staple is Disco Danny.
Yeah.
It's one that we, it's kind of these kind of represent the two sides of the coin for us. One is more like that psych rock, kind of a minor key song,
and
then
kind
the
of
other-
dense lyrically,
yeah.
and more like kind of, well thought out, where Disco Danny's like fun, joyous, like we're out in the daylight and we want to dance.
And
And
it's upbeat, major key, and dancey. So like those
Yeah.
two kind of range like a good kind of like calling card for us.
Y'all brought up something about the themes of like freedom, being together and consciousness, and disco.
yeah, I love those things together.
Yeah, and all of that reminds me of, like in the 70s, what happened was the disco demolition, right?
Right.
And that, when people came together, and it had undertones of like racism,
Totally.
homophobia, and things like that. Is that something that y'all think about, or is that something that comes to thought when creating the music, or when, especially now, creating disco now, right? Because
Yeah.
it's not as popular, and I think it can have traces to that moment,
Right.
or leading up to that moment. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that something y'all think about, or not really? You just have-
Yeah, no, I think to feel that one, it's like disco is liberation music. Like, it is purely based in dance, and dance is liberation. And I think that it is interesting with disco, where it's like it's something that got so popular. Part of that was also like that it was so popular that any like business would just throw disco on something just to sell more, and it was so popular it became uncool. It was also part of it, and obviously loaded with like phobia and bigotry. And it's totally liberation music, where it's like a part of our group. I think what's a little different than us than maybe some indie bands is like that we're not afraid to like express joy, unbridled joy, and like our love for each other, to be like very explicit in how much we love each other, how much we love being on stage and sharing our joy. I think that oftentimes you get this thing where people are too cool and all the faces are this, and it's like, no, we're just like so happy to be here. We're so happy to get the chance to dance with our friends and make these sounds like feedback to us. And so I think that the liberation music is like, for sure, like we're very aware of like that dancing frees people, and that is like what disco is all about.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have lots of conversations around like how we intersect with the world, both personally in our personal lives, how that works with our music, how that works with the band and with the group, what our message is, what are we trying to bring to people, and yeah, we definitely want to bring joy to people, and we also want people to think and want people to like be exposed to ideas and understand that there is more than just what might meet the eye in the everyday life, and
Totally.
so trying to spark that as well.
And awareness of the collective struggle, stuff like that. I think that, yeah, we do a lot of time balancing that, like, oh, let's give them the party of their life, but also like let's like continue to remind ourselves that this is like a pretty unbalanced situation that we live in still, and that distribution of resources and climate crisis and all these things need to kind of go down.
Right on. Cool. What song are y'all looking forward to performing today?
Hella good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're playing
No Doubt
yeah.
cover, which like this song bangs, and it's one of those songs where you might kind of forget that it exists, and then you'll hear it and be like, oh shit, like this is the best song that's ever been written.
hella good, so
Yeah, when we played this song at the Independent in San Francisco, and was it you, Austin, who threw the disco ball?
Yeah, I threw a disco
so
ball
he
in
threw
the-
like a real disco ball into the audience, and my
could've
friend
gone so bad.
My
It was
friend
really
caught it,
wild.
and it like cut her finger because it wasn't like a beach ball; it's just like a real disco ball. But it was just like such a good, pure moment.
Oh, we got it
of,
on
like,
camera.
being
It's so good.
So deep in it.
Yeah,
Well, that's-
so deep in it, and obviously it worked out because like synergies on our side. so
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
fine.
Constant, like, centering and coming back out and putting ourselves out into the world, and then like getting that feedback and reconstructing. But honestly, I think for all of us, the really core thing is just love of music, and that brings us back every day in those moments where you find it and you work so hard, and then it comes together and you hear that change that we all hit together, and you just feel that thing that you create that you just can't find anywhere else. And so
Yeah. I love that. The inner outer feedback loop of just like we make each other feel good, and then we bring it to people, and people are like, wow, it looks like you're having so much fun. And it's just like, well, yeah, we are. Like, cool. Like, let's keep doing this. And so I think that, yeah, it's a dream vehicle. It's just a way to like transcend kind of the material chains of like all the other jobs that we have to do and everything. In my life, you know, like I'm in music all the time, and it's great, but this thing makes you feel like the sky's the limit and like anything is possible. So I always want to stay close to that feeling. So